Affirm the young men. Good morning, everyone. We're back in a series talking, exploring, putting up questions on how to be an elder. How to be an elder, because being an elder is a great way to install honor in your life, to create meaning in your life. And we've been exploring this concept of what it is to be an elder, who to be an elder for, the challenge of being an elder. And then we listed 10 plus ways of being an elder. We talked about 2 of them already. The first one was be an ancestor worth coming from. And the second one was honor thy ancestors. Today we're going to elders. Today we're going to talk about the third one. Affirm the young man. What does it mean, Michael, to affirm the young man?
Well, I'll get to that in a second. I just want to add to what you said about why to take on the role of elderhood and to become an elder. And you mentioned a few reasons, like for you, to install meaning and purpose in your life. But there are many reasons, and we covered them on several of our last episodes. But it's far bigger than you, right? It's far bigger than me or the meaning and purpose I want in my life. Our younger brothers are dying, suicide, fentanyl addiction, other addictions, antidepressants, which just kill the soul of a man. Like and because it's the elders who are going to restore the law, it's really only the elders that are going to restore what's been lost in terms of passing on wisdom, passing on honor, protecting one's people. The way the modern world is, it's all about, separation. And as atomized individuals, we have no power to stand up and place limits on government, corporations, these other forces that would rob and kill the spirit and the health of our people. So there's many reasons on why to be an elder. Come back to your question. What does it mean to affirm the young man? So, whereas the parent's role often ends up being to err on the side of caution and keeping the young man safe, making sure he's totally prepared for the world out there before he goes out into the wilderness. It's the elder's role, beyond the father and mother, that doesn't have all that direct personal tie to the young man, to call him out and take him through the rite of passage, to call him out, give him the bigger mission, to call him out, send him to war, send him over the seas on a mission for his people, to be not so concerned with his hurt, his harm, his feelings, or his possible death. And this is the way that he really becomes a man and an elder for his people. Someone who's willing to risk his life, to do what it takes, to do the right thing. And
not just calling him, but also affirming him, meaning believe that he has what it takes to come out the other end.
Yeah, it's there's so many boys and young men today struggling to just have a sense of confidence that they do have what it takes, or that they are man enough. I can relate to that. I walked away from almost all the rites of passage that I was born into, from going on a Mormon mission. I didn't do it. Graduating university, I didn't do it. Getting married in the temple, I didn't do it. All these things that are kind of like a rite of passage in my particular tradition growing up, I didn't do it. And so these are the ways that your people know you as a man. And then you don't do it, you don't get that feedback from your people that you are a man necessarily. And so these rites of passage are sorely longing in our modern world. And so these young men are left to struggle to, on their own, to, you know, know themselves as a man and someone who has what it takes. And it's very much the role of an elder to do this.
It's almost like it's impossible if you have to do it by yourself. You know, you need that resonance, reflection from community, from structure, from rituals, from ceremonies.
And young men will find a way to do it one way or another. They'll join gangs. They'll turn to violence to prove their manhood. When I was, I think I was 20, I was reading Robert Bly, Iron John, all night long. Sun came up early in the morning. I was in downtown Salt Lake City, looking up, you know, at the mountains, and decided I was gonna run until I reached one of the mountain peaks, the snow-covered mountain peaks. I ended up taking that on to, you know, to prove something to myself. You know, I wanted the challenge. I wanted to know that I had what it took. And so, yeah, I mean, young men can find ways that are healthy and not healthy, but it's just sorely lacking when it all comes back to the individual young man to try to do it for himself. Yeah. Do it yourself is overrated in today's world. There's a huge missing role of elders.
So I hear affirming the young man is both you're calling him into something where parents probably would choose more caution and prepare him more until he's ready to go into the world. And with that calling also speak and have the trust, the confidence that he has what it takes to meet the challenge. Is that affirming the young man?
A great book to go deeper into this is the continuum concept. It's about I think it's an American woman that went to the jungles in Venezuela to spend time with indigenous people for like years at a time there. And it's interesting observing how she's trying to like fix things and like help boys and young men to like become men, and her help is not needed, you know. And she very, you know, humbly and honestly observes her Western patterns compared with the indigenous patterns. And you know, many indigenous cultures just, there's that sense from the time the infant is born that it has what it takes for this earth, you know, to thrive on this earth. You know, like, and my buddy O would talk about being with I think it was the Zapotec people in central Mexico, in places where no Westerners are really welcome. And he was with a man who, around the fire, and his son was playing with a machete right near the fire. Like the kid could cut himself, the kid could fall into the fire. There wasn't this, you know, this hyper concern, like, oh no, you know, you have to control the little kid with everything, you know. Well, even small children have fears of falling, you know. Small children have natural learning mechanisms. When I went to Panama and it was just 2 days with an indigenous tribe, I was surprised as we came up, it was like a motorized canoe driven by 2 young indigenous boys on the river, about an hour up the river. And we arrived at this little settlement where, you know, maybe a dozen families or less of this tribe lived. And there were a bunch of young girls playing in this raging river, and not an adult to be seen, you know. And it's like it's a little startling to a Westerner, you know. It's like these kids are going to drown, they're going to hurt themselves, we need to control them, we need to teach them, you know. And you can imagine what it does to grow up with the affirmation that you have what it takes for this earth,
Right.
versus the constant fear and affirmation that you don't have what it takes for this earth. It's even like, I don't know who wrote about this, but to be people who are emotionally spoiled, and I'll say what it is, but emotionally spoiled to carry a self-confidence for the rest of their life, you know? Emotionally spoiled in the sense that the parents trust that the kid has what it takes to be great. Like, I was raised with parents who, and my father talked about this, you know, I always wanted to let you free. I wanted to let you free. I wanted to let you free. That was his main thing, you know. And I've always felt the trust of my parents that I'm great, you know. Little did they know.
They were right. And I thought this was normal. And as I meet more people, I see that this is very rare. That both, I didn't have to fight for the love of my parents. I didn't have to prove myself. And I could always feel that they trust that I'm great. And I could see it. They still look at me and they think, wow, he's fantastic, you know? And that's emotionally spoiled in a way. And it gives me such an advantage, I would say, over so many people, because I have that confidence. I'm like, I have a deep trust, one, not only that I have what it takes, but I also trust that everything is going to be okay, and that the world is like looking out for me. And there's a kind of like, yeah, I always thought it was normal, but most people have to fight for this. They have to go and fight for this, you know. And
I had this from my mother. She always encourages to run free, and I mean, my youth in the 70s and 80s was very different than a lot of young people today. And it's very unfortunate, you know.
Yeah.
So many young people today are growing up with such overprotective parents and adults, and
yes,
you know, micromanaging them. They're really being deprived of that.
It's 100%. I see it now. Yeah, I remember as a kid too, was staying with my grandparents, and I would just go out, you know, and go to the forest, and you know, to make bows and arrows, and there's nobody watching that. Nobody, you know. Yeah. And I would go into the fields, and the cows would chase me, and you're like.
And that's how it was in this indigenous tribe that I visited. The little girls were mostly in and around the village and playing in the river. The little boys wandered off into the jungle completely alone, no adults around, you know. And they're out hunting and fishing and playing and getting up to who knows what, and there's absolutely no micromanaging. And they come home around dusk, along with the men come home around dusk, and that's when the village gets a bit noisy because everyone's coming back together, everyone's talking, you know, sharing dinner. And then a little bit later, everything goes quiet, everyone's asleep. There's no TV, there's no whatever. And you get to see, like, what is a natural rhythm of life there, a natural way.
But let's come back to affirming the young man, you know, because I can see now it's like calling him out of the comfort that parents would usually have, or caution they have for him. Also, trusting he has what it takes. But I could see also when I was let free, it was not necessarily trusting that nothing would happen, but it was that it's just, we're not going to be overprotective. We're not going to, like, if something happens, that's okay too, you know. It's not like I wasn't in danger, but it's trusting that it will be what it needs to be,
and that you'll learn.
That you learn. Maybe that's
And humans are. I mean, if there's one thing that we have over the rest of the animal kingdom, you know. I mean, there's a few things I could think you could say, but the ability to learn. You know, we're not born with as much instinct as most of the rest of the animals. So, but we're amazing learners, and so to try to micromanage our children is to affirm that they don't have what it takes, is to not affirm their natural survival capacity. And so I thought maybe we could tell a few stories.
Yeah,
of,
how did it look for you when you're, say, eldering a younger man? How did it look for you to affirm him?
Do we want to tell any stories of how we were affirmed first? I've told a number of these stories on previous episodes, so maybe we can skip that.
Yeah, how were you affirmed by your parents or elders?
Well, I mean, there was just zero micromanaging by my mother, and my dad was out working all day, you know. So it was literally a free for all. I mean, we rode our dirt bikes.
That explains a lot.
We did whatever we wanted.
I'll do whatever I want.
We rode our dirt bikes everywhere. I mean, our parents had no clue where we were. No clue. We were up to whatever the hell, you know. And we did get a lot of, you know, I would say moral training, love, education, all of this, but there were vast periods of time we were just set loose. And I've told the stories of my grandfather, his way of teaching me. I'd go out west for the summer, and, you know, he'd take me to a sheep he just slaughtered hanging upside down, and he'd tell me, I want you to skin it and gut it and come and get me when you're done, you know, and hand me his buck knife and walk away. That was it, you know, and I had to figure it out. So he did that many times with many different challenges. That was his way of teaching, you know. He wasn't worried that I'd make a mistake.
Education and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I don't know about entrepreneurship, but just...
you got to find a way. You got to find a solution.
And I think you could say that's being a man also, you know, to a large extent. Whatever it takes, provide and protect your people, you know. So...
Kill the sheep.
Yeah, so... What did yours teach you how to kill a zucchini? Hans is plant-based. He's very much against the killing of the animals.
Well, that sounded a bit...
He only kills the plants. So, yeah, with young men, I mean, I think back to Anthony, right? A couple years back, this young man in university had many complaints about his father, about the university, and, you know, one of the things that a great point, I think, to affirm the young man is, if he's in great judgment of the authorities in his life,
Yes.
but he's still letting them run his life and he's just bitching and complaining about it, this is the time when you say, look, you obviously think you can do it better. Go do it.
Yes.
Go do it.
Leave the nest.
Go run your life, you know?
Yes.
And, yeah, we just affirmed him. He left home.
Left home.
He traveled the U.S. He traveled the world. He lived in Medellín for a while.
Yes.
He started his own business.
Yes.
He got experience with women. And he now lives in Austin, Texas.
Doing filming.
And, yeah, he had what it took. You know, I think, I mean, if you look at the modern world, all the rules, regulations, the education, everything that we have to try to modify human behavior and train for obedience and to indoctrinate, most of it didn't exist 100 years ago. How did humans survive without all that? We have what it takes, you know. And O said this to me, you know. Like I did a one-on-one training with O in Australia. This is only 12 years ago. And he really affirmed this to me at a next level. One of the things that he said was that, you know, human life forms, we're a very large percent of us is carbon. And what is carbon? It's basically stardust, you know. And he explained it as, I mean, the way he colorfully put it is like humans are the stars' way of looking back at themselves. You know, like we're the result of 1 billion plus years of evolution, successful and unbroken chain of evolution. You know, like literally, success multiplied by what, 1 million times, millions, hundreds of millions of times. An unbroken chain of successful reproduction and survival and reproduction and survival. So why should we have a doubt that we're not enough, you know, that we don't have what it takes?
Yes. Well, that's a good philosophical point.
Of course, you know, to quote unquote survive in a, you know, the modern world it is a different undertaking, right?
I'm seeing the role that you can have as a man, you know, that's different from the parent who's cautious, be an elder, you know, and for a younger man, invite him. I'm thinking of Pharaoh, I'm thinking of Anthony, I'm thinking of Raphael, I'm thinking of Joe, I'm thinking of Lungisani, you know, and call them into adventure, call them into the deep end, call them into the world, and nudge them, and be there for them, but also like not be omnipresent, and just say, you got it, you got it, you got it, you got the skills, you got the knowledge, you got everything you need to make it. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be playing that part for younger men.
I think it's a difficult thing as well. Like, where's the balance of, you know, because as an adult you care for this younger person, you do want to educate them, teach them, but too much of that definitely affirms that they don't have what it takes, you know. And
I read something about parenting, and it was, you should parent your child just enough that they don't die, and then it should be free, you know. But let me ask you this: you call someone forth, you call them into adventure, say it's the elder thing to do, go forth, and then you almost, or sometimes you put parentheses, you say, well, okay, you know, I'm known to just say yes to people, you know, don't necessarily trust me for it, you know, like.
Yeah, this is a great point, actually. I think most of our invitations to learning and to adventure are commercial consumer experiences where we're guaranteed an outcome. And I think this is, if what we want to do is elder the young people, you get called you get called to war. There's no guarantee you're coming home. You know, you go out on a hunt against wild beasts. There is no guarantee you're coming home alive. You know, and it's important to go anyway. But I think it's important that the person being called is aware of the risk, and there's no guarantee, so they are self-responsible. I think that's one of the biggest things that the elder needs to do, is not take care of the outcome, but put that responsibility on the individual younger man. And say, you know, be aware, be alert, you're going to have to fight for your survival, and don't trust me completely. Use your own, you know, use your own intelligence.
Maybe that's the difference between a parent and an elder, is that the parent is usually taking the responsibility of the kid away. You know, he's overstepping the boundaries of his or her responsibility to take care of the safety of the child.
You know, going back to this book, The Continuum Concept, there's a story in the book where the Western woman, she's concerned about this one boy that he's not I don't know, learning enough. Maybe he's, I don't know, getting into trouble. I can't remember what her concern about him was. And the chief of the village would go out every day, out and, leave the village and go off to hunt. And several times she called after the chief because she wanted the boy to go with him. She's like trying to make something happen there. And the chief wouldn't even turn around. He wouldn't even respond. And finally she let go of the trying to control the situation. And one day she noticed the boy run after the chief and go off with him, and then, like, it was the indigenous way that the boy will go when he's ready. Of course he will. Of course he's going to want to learn how to hunt and how to, do the things that are honored amongst the tribes people for being a man. And it's not, there's all this efforting in Western culture about making things happen.
I like it, the word that you used there, the micromanaging. It's a great way of distinguishing between the good way and the bad way. There's no micromanaging to happen if we're eldering and if we're affirming a younger man. And if parents are overbearing, is this micromanaging, trying to arrange it.
I don't have any direct experience with indigenous gatherings, celebrations, that sort of thing, but O would talk about it often. Time he spent, and they'll come together for a ceremony, and one or more of the elders might show up drunken or this or that, and there's no one. Like, imagine like you're at church and a drunk walks in, he's shouting, he's disrupting the rituals and the songs and whatever. He would very much be dealt with and put into line, into order, or removed. But in the indigenous spaces, everyone was welcome, and it's just like, you don't have to be a certain way to be welcome.
Yes.
You are our people, You're bringing a certain spirit, a certain intelligence, a certain perspective that's welcome and needed. And there's nothing wrong with you. Like, their level of affirmation of you as a being is just so deep.
No micromanaging. No thinking, assuming that something is wrong with you. There's a great ways of describing what it means to affirm someone.
Yeah, and then, we get older having been so micromanaged. This affirmation that we're not enough, we don't have what it takes.
Yes.
And then we're trying to micromanage ourselves and try to get ourselves to believe in ourselves.
Yes.
Because we're missing just that natural thing that's given.
And then we have children.
This is one of the reasons why elders are so priceless, so needed, and that we take up this role so we restore it amongst our future generations.
Affirm the young men.
So if we're talking about how to do this, Hans, I would say this. You're with a younger person, maybe it's your child, maybe it's the neighbor child, whoever it is. He's doing something, and you then notice you're trying to control that behavior. What you're doing there is reacting to a feeling that you're having. And if we want to kind of transform how we are as an elder, I think it helps to become aware of this response that's causing our reaction. And can we just be with it? Can we just be with it?
It's a great challenge when babies are crying on the plane next time.
And those babies are crying on the plane likely because they've been micromanaged.
Yes.
You know?
100%.
From the moment of they were yanked from the womb, you know?
So it's even tougher now to be an elder.
Man, it is a serious challenge.
Yes, it's tougher
Yes.
because
We live, the modern world affirms that there's something wrong with all of us. Yes.
yeah,
So,
a lot of the self-development is about healing people, you know, as if something is wrong.
to be an elder in today's world is an act of rebellion. And
I see the big challenge now, you know, given the absence of existing structures and people being raised in it and now having to deal with that, you know. It's a huge challenge to be an elder. It's a great opportunity too, because it has so much leverage in what, if you're trying to create meaning, purpose, you know, brotherhood, honor, but it's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge. And that's why it's so important to choose wisely who you're going to elder, which is one of the things we talked about on a couple of podcasts ago. You know. Yes. Any more stories?
well, there are many more. I told a number of them on previous episodes, but
Yes.
and you just went and spent a little bit of time with the Maasai anyway. And one of the things you remarked was there were no children crying.
We were there. Our friend Comyn has 3 wives and 12 children, something like this, which is also something interesting. And they have no water, no electricity, no running water, no electricity. We were there 4 days, I think. Not once did I hear a child cry and not once. You go, huh? What is this? You know, you could refer to community, you could refer to, you know, not micromanaging, you could refer to elderhood, you know, but there's something there that we have lost. You know, if crying children is the signal of that. So
We learned to guide ourselves using the model of how authorities guided us.
yes,
So we tend to take the way that authorities guided us and internalize that
yes,
against ourselves or with ourselves.
yes,
Another reason why it's so powerful to have elders that affirm you have what it takes
yes.
and that are not like divided against your will.
Yeah, elderhood is really you deciding, you committing to be an elder is really breaking that generational trauma, generational ways of having authority. You know, you could change that. You showing up as an elder for one young man can change that, you know, because that young man is going to be an elder for other young men, and so on and so on. So, yeah, it's a huge challenge, but it's a great opportunity too, you know, that you could break that. You could be the one. You could be the one.
And to do it with yourself, you know, to take the reins, stand up, speak up, do what you feel is right, and be a rebel in the face of the modern world, not
Yes.
just rebelling against, but standing
Yes.
for something. Being a warrior is more it. you know.
Yes.
Standing your truth, standing your ground.
Change the way you take care of yourself and of your people. If you feel called by this, reach out. If you feel something is coming up, you know, reach out to us. This is what we're doing. This is what we're creating in this world. This is the community that we're creating, the brotherhood that we're creating, the elderhood that we're creating. If you feel called, reach out, because we're here for you.
The sacred honor ceremony and trainings we're doing here in the Andes Mountains near Medellín, Colombia, in just a few months, is about coming back to the natural, whole, aligned self-guidance. You know, a new relationship with authority. I think you could say a right relationship with authority, being your own authority.
Yes.
Being regarded as an authority amongst your people. And it's not this Western divided state.
Yes.
If you're interested,
Let
hit
us
us up.
know. Come to Medellín. See you tomorrow. Oh no. See you on Monday.